Hi, I'm Thomas Larsen, and today I'm testing out Storm's new Spectre. So the Spectre is the newest shiny pearl symmetrical ball in Storm's line. With the shiny pearl cover, it should create easy length through the middle, clean ball motion, and the core is a little bit stronger than what you would find in, for example, a high road. RG is a little bit lower, kind of medium-high RG, and the diff is actually quite high for a symmetrical ball. So this should create a really clean ball motion with a lot of back end. For the Spectre, I went with a pretty standard layout for me on symmetrical balls, pin about an inch above the bridge, and this is a pretty standard layout for me. I know what it gives me, it's about 5 inches, and I know it's gonna give me a pretty decent amount of flare, and it's gonna allow me to see what the Spectre does compared to some of my other balls. And today I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna test it on a 41-foot house pattern that's a little bit burned up, and I'm gonna test it against the Zen from 900 Global, since that's the benchmark shiny pearl symmetrical ball. So let's see what it does. While you're watching this review, please hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, and please leave a comment if you have any questions about the Spectre or other balls you want to see me do reviews or videos with. So please hit the like, the subscribe, the comment button, and enjoy this review. I've thrown the Spectre for about 20 minutes here, so this is kind of my first impression and review of the Spectre. And my expectations before throwing it was that it was going to be a ball on the little bit weaker side of the spectrum, a really clean, a lot of back end, something similar to what a high road or a high road pearl would be. And I'm testing it out on a 41-foot house shot with quite a bit of friction here, so I was expecting that it would match up fairly well, allow me to play both a little straighter and hook the lane depending on what I did with my hand. And what I'm actually seeing is that the Spectre is quite a bit stronger than I was expecting. As you can see, I'm actually playing pretty far left on the lane, hooking the lane quite a bit. There is quite a bit of friction here, but still I'm playing pretty far left compared to what I was thinking I was going to do with the Spectre. And that's because it is quite a lot stronger than I expected it to be. And I think that's the core. The core is a little lower RG than, for example, the high roads, but the differential is pretty high. So it still creates a lot of flare. And I think that's what's making it stronger than I expected it to be. You can see it's still really clean. It gets through the friction of the lane really, really nicely. It might even save just a pinch too much energy for the back end on this pattern. But either way, it's really clean, which is a really good thing when you're bowling on high friction lanes and patterns that are broken down a lot. So that's really nice, but it still has this really strong quick response time back end. I guess some would call like a skid snap reaction, but I think the quick response time, the really drastic change of direction on the back end and a lot of continuation is a pretty good way of explaining it. And it to me it really resembles the high road and the high road pearl motion, but it's just quite a bit stronger than what those balls are, which I think is a good thing, because when the high road and the high road pearl came out, there wasn't quite as much oil on the lanes as there is today. So having basically a high road on steroids is probably a good thing for a lot of players, because the high road might tend to be just a little bit too weak or too clean, where the Spectre is a nice step up. You still get the clean motion, you still get a lot of back end, but it can handle a little bit more oil and creates a little bit more flare, which allows you to use it on just a little bit more oil. So
I think this is going to match up really well for me on burned up conditions. And I think it's going to be a good ball for a lot of players. If you've got a lower rev rate, you can use the really clean cover to get through the dry parts of the lane. If you got a higher rev rate, you can use the back end to really get left and open up your angles and just throw it to the right and watch it boom back. So I think this is going to be a really good ball when there's friction, when there's a little bit of room to the right, like on a house shot. And it's going to be something that I'm sure we're going to see a lot of big scores with.
That stone 8 is obviously a pretty brutal break, but it actually tells me that the Spectre is doing the right thing. I always get a little bit nervous when I get these really clean skid snappy balls that they're gonna be all skid snap, and it's never gonna be able to read the mid lane as soon as there's a little bit more oil, and that's gonna make them kind of uncontrollable. But seeing that stone 8 lets me know that the Spectre still creates good ball motion, still gets into a roll. So that really tells me that it's gonna be usable on even when there's a little more oil, on different conditions, and it's gonna allow me to create some good ball motion even on more difficult patterns. So now I'm gonna throw the Sen from 900 Global and compare it to the Spectre. The Sen is basically my go-to shiny pearl symmetrical ball, so it makes sense to compare it to the Spectre. And as you can see in the video, I'm playing the same line with the Sen as the Spectre, and I can stand in the same spot, but the reaction I get from the Sen is quite a bit different than the one from the Spectre. Both of them are striking, but to my eye, I'm seeing the Sen being quite a lot earlier and much smoother, much more rounded shape, where the Spectre is cleaner and more like skid snappy, so to speak. What this means is that to me, the Sen is a stronger shiny ball that's a little more smooth, a little more round, while the Spectre is cleaner and stronger on the back end. This also means the Sen is a little bit easier for me to play straighter with, and it can handle a little more arm than the Spectre. So overall, I like both balls, but I don't think I'm going to use them at the same time. The Sen will come into play earlier in a block than the Spectre, where the Spectre is going to be, like I said, the little bit stronger high road. It's going to come into play towards the end of the block when the lanes are starting to get really dry and burned up, and you need something to get through that friction and really come off it on the back end. So I think both have a spot in an arsenal, and they're going to be a good step up, step down from each other. So yeah, Spectre looks pretty good. I think it's going to be a really good ball on drier lane conditions where you really have to throw the ball to the right, have it back. So yeah, looks pretty good. I'm excited to try it some more, and I'm sure it's going to come into play at some point in when we're balling longer blocks on lanes where there's a lot of friction. So yeah, I'm excited about it. New Storm Spectre. Let me know what you think of the Spectre and of this video in the comments. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, follow me and EMAX Bowling on social media, and I'll be back with more ball reviews. See you.